5.
Yeah, they started updating things, and now there's they harass you before you start.
Post on Instagram that we're live. Okay. So, welcome to the Between the Covers book club discussion for 5-Year Lie by Sarina Bowen. If you guys want to introduce yourself, go ahead. Start with
Monica. I read primarily recently I've been reading a lot of romantasy, romance, fantasy, and then I have a lot of horror on deck for October, so we're going to be kind of all over the board, but yeah, that's what I'm typically reading, and I'm trying out some new formats of like book reviews, check-ins, things like that. But that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I am just here. I read horror and thriller primarily, so I don't really read romance. I do sometimes a little bit. It can be fun. But yeah, that's what I read. Spooky things. I have a little ghost in my name. And I do a lot of reading vlogs primarily, so that's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I asked Lexie is because I picked a thriller, even though I wouldn't say it was like the best thriller. But I will say I actually really enjoyed this book. So I ended up giving it like 4 stars. If you guys want to say your ratings. Hi, Deb. Hi, Holly.
Lexie always makes me go first.
Yes.
I gave this 3 to 3.5. I thought about giving it 4 because of like on the 3.5 side, but then I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to think about this book much beyond this. So like I went down to 3.
Valid.
I'm giving it 3.5. I also am not going to think about it past this, but I had a fun time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like the reason I'm giving it 4 is because I am not a thriller reader, and I actually and I usually hate, like my 2 least favorite books of all time are a domestic horror and a domestic thriller.
What are they?
And,
like what are
you don't want to know what the horror is?
What is it?
Just Like Mother.
Oh, I mean, okay, I do love that book, but I get it.
Yeah. And then The Last Mrs. Parrish are my like 2 least favorite books of all time. But I actually had a good time with this, and maybe it's because like the other thriller writer that I like is Ashley Winstead. So maybe I just need to write thrillers written by authors that also write romances.
I love Ashley Winstead.
Mm-hmm.
See, I do need to say
that. Yes. Very much.
I think I just need to read thrillers that are written by romance authors, and then I kind of enjoy them.
There are, I feel like... Go ahead.
I feel like this one, even though you knew there was a romance in it, it wasn't like smacking in the face with the romance. Like,
yeah. I feel like there's been a trend. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's been a trend of like romance being included a little bit in thrillers recently. So if I read any good ones, I'll let you know.
That's what I was gonna say. Sometimes I feel like with thrillers, they like smack you in the face with it, and it's like, we're gonna throw this romance in here, and it's gonna be gratuitous and crazy.
Yeah.
But this one, I felt like it was woven well into the story, and you knew going into it that it was gonna have a little, because it says on the back, talks about like getting a text from her child's father, so you know that there's some sort of romance. So. I enjoyed it. I feel like there's really not going to be a ton to say about it, just because it was just
I'm like trying to trying to figure out what comments I have that wasn't like just giving everything away.
Well, I do, because it's funny, because when I did last month, the August book was The Road of Bones, and it was just like, this book was fine. Like, it was so boring. But like, and that one everyone gave 3 stars too, but I feel like this one was a better, like, overall. Like, I feel like, even though there's not a ton to say, like, I was invested in the story. Like, I read it super fast. It wasn't like I have to read this. Oh, I got to sit down and read this. Like, I actually, like, actively enjoyed reading it. Whereas other books I felt like were not.
Yeah, for me, it did take a little bit to get into the story. I was like, will you shut up about this man? But that's just like my personal reading taste. So I was like, where's the other drama? Like, I just, for me, but I think knowing that it's from a romance author, made it easier to like be okay with it. And like, I don't mind romance in thrillers, especially this one. Like, I feel like it was a lot, but not in a bad way. There are some that it's very much in a bad way, and I'm like, okay, we don't need this. But this one, like, obviously was very integrated into the plot, so it made sense. But yeah, it was probably the last third that I was like, I read it so quickly because there was just like a lot going on, and I wanted to like know the reveals that were going to happen and like see how certain things played out, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Honestly, I was expecting to say it was like 2 stars or 1 star. It was like Lexi's gonna like this book, so I'm really surprised.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. Yeah, I do think that I wish they had a little bit more of, not that we like witnessed it, but a little bit more of an established relationship before they went missing. Because I think, like, yes, they had a kid together, but I was also like, okay, you were together for like
3 months.
6 days. Yeah, it was more than 6 days.
I was like, this woman won't shut up about a 3-month relationship. I'm like, oh God. And I get that, the kid, the like fact that she has a child, like, definitely kind of makes it more intense, more dramatic, and like the need for protection and all that kind of stuff. And I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, the way she's talking about him and the relationship they had, I was like, oh, you knew him for 3 months total.
I think the more we learned about their relationship, the more I was like, okay, this makes a little bit of sense. But I wish that we would have gotten more of like the flashbacks of them earlier on, so that I was less like annoyed that she wouldn't shut up about this man that we knew nothing about, other than like she was obsessed with him.
Well, that was like, I felt like the first half, it was a lot of like in the present day. And then like the last half, like every other chapter was going back in time. And so, if it would have been a little bit more like integrated into the beginning, like having the flashbacks more woven, it would have been a little bit better.
Yeah. I think that's really my main complaint.
Yeah. I'm just going to put this up here. If anyone's paying attention, that like there's like 2 people here, but if anyone's listening that wants to read this book, we are going to talk about spoilers, which, I mean, it's a thriller, so basically the whole book's a spoiler. I mean, even the back is a spoiler for you. But I will say, I totally thought that Zane was going to be like like trying to get with her and like, oh, it's time to move on. And I was like, oh, I'm going to hate this. But then like halfway, it was like, no, I'm just here to be your friend. It's like, okay, I do appreciate that.
Well, he was actually, wait, what is the guy that went missing? What is his name?
Drew.
He was into him. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was also like, I don't want another relationship on top of the one that is already like the established one. So I agree.
Yeah. I liked Zane, and I was glad that he didn't end up being one of the bad guys. Like I was very much like, oh no, like what's gonna like is he in on it? Or the flashbacks really like you could tell, you could like kind of tell that it wasn't about him, but you weren't really sure. And so I was like, where are we going with this? Like I don't want him to be a bad guy.
Yeah, they definitely tried to make it seem like it could have been him. I do think that it was like, because it was like it just felt too convenient for it to be him, but there was like a little bit of like suspicion, and you're like, how about we don't?
Well, I was talking to my mom because my mom read it too, and we were talking about it, and I was like, oh, something's fishy about the mom. My mom goes, the mom's just dumb. Like, the mom is just
it's true.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I was like, yeah, the mom's just stupid. So
I just also like, can you imagine marrying your dead husband's brother? I know it's like a romance thing, but in a thriller, I was just like,
it's a little weird.
Yeah.
No, I definitely like. I mean, this was my first. I had never even read one of Sarina Bowen's romances, so like I'm excited to actually go and like read one of her romances, and I would read more that she like thrillers that she wrote.
Yeah, I liked the two characters together. Like I could see, like I definitely see that she's a romance author, so like I'm sure that they're pretty decent.
Yeah, and I mean, well, so because the prologue, which I realized as I read on, that the prologue is actually her and Buzz. But I totally thought for like a long time that Drew was researching this girl and she was on the run. And that's when like the like target acquired, you know, so, and that's why he left. I totally thought that until we got to like the part where she was actually on the run. I was like, oh, okay, this is the prologue coming back.
I don't even remember the prologue, if we're being honest.
No.
It was like this lady was telling her son to hurry up and wash his hands at a bus stop.
Actually, yeah. Okay,
the last line is like target acquired or something of the prologue.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Like watching it on the like the CCTV footage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That is coming back to me now.
Yeah. Monica and I started this together in the car. We started the audiobook on the drive back from a book festival we went to this weekend. So we listened to the first like 40% together on Sunday.
I'm like truly, I was like, I don't remember the prologue at all.
Yes, but I do remember it now. Yeah.
The like footage of like her. Yeah. Because I was like, wait, what? They were just like watching. But it makes sense because that's the whole plot, is that they're in this company that has this security technology that's just not secure at all.
It's interesting though, because like I usually like I'm at the point where I don't really feel impacted by prologues. So it's fun that like the whole time you were thinking something else because of that. That's what they're trying to get you to do. Like it kind of makes sense. But I was just trying to cool. Yeah.
But I mean, I also read 5 or 6 thrillers a year.
Yeah.
So it's like
it makes total sense that like you would. I just like forgot. I usually forget that the prologues exist. So that's like, just my brain. In the moment, I knew it was happening.
But yeah, I mean, even though it was only like it's not a book that like is going to be remembered much past this. I feel like of my 3 book club books so far, this has been the most successful one. Because it seems like you guys both had a good time with it, like, and I enjoyed it. So, whereas I did not really enjoy the other 2. So,
3.5 stars are good for me.
Yeah, I feel like it lost me in the middle section a lot, and I think I think it was specifically when Ariel, I almost forgot her name, Ariel and Zane, and then her friend, whoever the friend was, they were
They were
like
glass-blowing a lot.
investigating like they were investigating his real name, and they went to like the orphanage play. I was like, I'm not following, like this is not working for me. But like as soon as she left with Buzz to go like track him down, I was like, oh, here I am. And when they got like the whole thing with the house and when the lockdown, like all that, I was like, yes, this is what I was waiting for.
Yeah. Even on the bus. Okay, so I think that she does characters really well, because whenever she was on the bus and he was like, I'm so hungry, and that old guy just like left her money, I was like, oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Every time she was like, I'm so sorry, I don't have anything for you. I'm like,
yeah. So I was invested.
Yeah. Especially in their relationship. I think the mother side of her like protectiveness and like she wanted to track him down because she was in love with him, but also like she so badly wanted their family unit to be together if that was a possibility. And so like her determination, oh my gosh, my cat is trying to like dig under the door to get into this room right now.
Which cat?
So distracting. Anyway, I don't even know which one it is.
Well, find out.
I'm assuming it's Kiara. I will
know. We need
I
to
will
know.
let the cat in.
Here for the pets. Let's be real.
That's why I do everything.
Where are your cats and Bowser?
Nova's sleeping right there, but you can't see her. I don't know what the other ones are.
It's Kovu.
Hello.
I thought it would be Kiara, but he's the one that was dying to get in here. I don't even know what I was saying. Something about their family. But anyway, that was the most interesting part to me, was her determination and like the subsequent protectiveness, like when they were in the house getting attacked and she's like locking him in the closet. I was like this.
Yeah, it was all like very tense.
You could just feel the panic and you could feel the like just desperation to protect him and everything.
Can we talk about the watermelons? It was so funny because she like signed up for 10 watermelons. I'm like, how do you easily transport 10 watermelons? Like, I understand at the store you can put them in a shopping cart, but then like, can you imagine getting to like a school picnic thing and just like having to take 10 watermelons?
I'm picturing Dirty Dancing. I'm picturing the scene from Dirty Dancing when she's carrying the watermelon.
Carried a watermelon?
But also the fact that the person, like the teacher or whoever, kept reminding her, being like, don't forget the watermelons. And she's like,
but it actually played into the story because she ended up taking the knife and then used it in the situation that you were talking about, which is why I thought of it. I thought that was fun, that it was like such a big thing where she's like, don't forget the 10 watermelons. And then it ended up like coming into play like in an actual plot point. So I thought that was
Can you imagine putting 10 watermelons into the back of your car? Like,
right?
That's a lot.
Yeah. I think they mentioned it, that it was, like the math problems where it's like, Susie has 47 cantaloupes in their cart and like all, like, I was picturing that.
And just the whole like, you wrap the knife in cardboard, it won't scratch up your bag. It was just moments like that like I had a good amount of like humor, considering like all like I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but it was like,
and it felt natural.
Yes,
it felt like natural comedy. It wasn't like forced jokes. It was like this is already happening, so here's the like the ironic part of the story.
Yeah,
or like the dick joke jar at the glass blowing place. Because of the names of all of the stuff. I mean, I don't know how factual all that is, but
it is factual. I love glass blowing. That was another like one of my favorite parts of the first half, because I feel like that's where more of the glass blowing stuff was. I was like, this is so cool, because don't know how to do any of it, but I'm fascinated by glass blowing. And so I really loved those parts when she was working on everything.
Yeah, there's that competition show where they are glass blowing. I've watched that.
I watched the first season, but that's all the farther I made it. I didn't love the competition setting because I thought they were all wrong. Their opinions were wrong.
So this Monica is actually the one who read the book and suggested it, and I was like,
oh, that's fun. Nice.
She's from Maine, so she really liked all of the Maine content.
Gotcha.
I've been to Maine. It's so pretty because I forgot, but yeah, they did mention some of that stuff, and I was like, "Ooh, I've been near there," so that was fun.
Nice. I have not.
You should go.
I will.
I gave it 4, and they both gave it like 3.5, which is good for them. Because Monica is also a romance reader, like mostly only reads romance, so like me, but they are more thriller readers.
I love reading thrillers, but I feel like I prefer getting them when I know that somebody else has read and recommends it, because when I read so many other genres, I'm like, if I am not going to like the twist, or if like it's not done well, then I'm like, you know what, I'll just wait until somebody tells me that I should read it, and then I'll read it. But like I like a good thriller. It's just sometimes hard because the formula is very similar for a lot of them.
Yeah,
that's how I am with romance and like romantasy and stuff. I'm like, I really like some of it, but not enough to like read through the stuff that I don't enjoy. So like
I tell you when to read a romance, and you tell me when to read the thrillers.
Yeah.
It works.
I feel like that's what I should do with thrillers, because I've read all the ones I've read. I'm like, I hate this book. I hate this book. I hate this book. But then like the ones that people have, like, I mean, not that Darcy Coates is more horror, but like the books I've read of hers, I've enjoyed, because people have said, oh, you'll probably like this or like this. Like I actually had a good time with it. But like I read like One by One this year, and I hated that book. Like I was like, this book is so boring. Like it was so predictable. Like I was like, I know what's gonna happen. And I'm not a thriller reader. So like what's gonna happen? Like that's not so.
True.
But yeah, we were just discussing this earlier. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
I think that the fact that she was a romance writer writing a thriller, I think that communicated very well. Like, even if the whole book was not something that I was like fully like excited for the whole way through, like I do after finishing it, I can definitely see where the romance helped her to develop that like storyline and make, because that was my favorite part, was the family dynamic, and like not necessarily her repetition and how often she talked about the like 6 days that they knew each other, but like that story was the part that drew me in more, and like by the end had me like ready to like throw something, because I was like, this is so exciting. But you can just tell how the romance influenced the story in a positive way.
I wish that the synopsis plot was drawn out a little bit more. I feel like it kind of like was a little bit throughout, because like everybody had their secret text, whatever. But there's just like, I don't know exactly what it was, but there was something about the way that it was like revealed that I wish that there was like, it was expanded on a little bit more, to kind of like bring a little more suspense to it, because I think the problem is almost immediately she was like she was aware that it was a 5-year-old text. There was like no real like trying to like find him. I mean, like she was trying to find him, but like she knew that he was dead at that point, and that it was like an old text. So I do like that, like, everybody's text that they got kind of impacted the story, but I wish it was, like, drawn out a little more in, like, towards the beginning to kind of give a little more suspense.
I kind of wish we would have learned, like, because you know how after we learned that it was the uncle that was part of the bat, like, I wish she would have realized the text before we knew, like, when because after she realized, like, oh, this place didn't open until after this all happened. How would we got it? Like, I kind of wish that would have happened first, before, like, her realizing that before we knew it was the uncle from 5 years in the past, like, because I think that would have like hit a little bit harder. Yeah, because then it was like, yes, could have done a lot with the text.
Yeah, I wish that was a little more like of a plot point instead of like a 2-second thing to propel the other things. I did think that the whole like backstory with, I forget his name, he had so many names, Drew, Jay, that all was interesting, but also I wish it was revealed in a different way. I think it felt a little, well, because I mean it was kind of like a coincidence to be like, oh, I'm gonna go to this house and they're gonna put me to the correct person to like get the information that I need. So I wish that it was like revealed in a little bit of a different way. But I thought that it was like a good reason for him to be in this situation and also like to be on the run. I think it felt like appropriate stakes and not like some silly little thing where he was like, yeah, I'm just going to go hide in the forest. And there's like no actual real reason. Like between her, well, it was not her dad really, but like the uncle was killing people a lot. So like, I thought that was all, like it was good that it made sense and wasn't just like a silly thing, to move the plot, because I've read some thrillers where it's like that wasn't a real reason for you to go into hiding, but this felt like it was.
Yeah, definitely, because he could have been in a lot of trouble for identity theft and
like he could have been in trouble with the law, and then also this guy that's killing people when they don't like what's being done, like
he is a criminal trying to do a good thing, but like he might get caught for being a criminal before the good thing that he's trying to do gets done. So he had to kind of like cut his losses early, I guess.
Yeah.
I also felt like the reveal of her being the one that set up that judge happened so fast and like so late. Like it just was like, so nothing's gonna happen. Like it just kind of like ended. And I was like,
yeah,
they could have expanded on that. Like when Zane realized, he could have been like, yo, and like that could have been more of like a, oh crap, I need to go on the run. I mean, I knew she obviously had to go, but like it would have been more of like, again, it's just like I think there was just like timing of some of the reveals that like would have been a little bit more impactful had they been at different points.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I feel like it was all like good stuff, like good information. And I never felt that anything was like silly. So that was nice. But yeah, I agree that like the like timing of everything could have been a little different, but like also this is her first thriller, so I think it was still pretty decent.
It is hard to tie those things together in a good way, so I think she did well with like everything that she did.
Yeah.
Is this a book that you would have picked up on your own at any point, or was it like just because I was like, hey, you want to join me?
I did not know it existed.
Nope.
And I have not, like, I haven't seen anybody talk about it personally. So I would not have known about it. But I'm always down to read whatever, honestly. So
I think the synopsis, if I had known it existed and I'd read the synopsis, I probably would have at least considered reading it. But yeah, I definitely like. I wouldn't have been looking this up because I had no idea about this author or like that this book existed.
Yeah,
if she wrote
it's not
thriller, would you read it?
I'm not gonna go out of my way to pick it up immediately, but like I would read it
eventually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Monica, as like you do read romance, would you read one of her romances now after reading this?
I might at least like look up what the synopsis and see if like how I would consider reading from her because I do think she some of her writing was enough to get me like
I was invested in her characters.
Ending. And I like cared about how the story was going to end with their characters. So like I definitely would, and I probably will look up some of her other ones and see if I've heard of them or like what some of them might be about.
Well, I know she co-wrote the Him and Us duet with Elle Kennedy. It's a hockey romance.
Okay.
The male one. It was like a couple years old, or it's quite old now at this point, but it was like really big a couple years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look them up and see if there's any that stand out. And like, I definitely will consider reading one by her at some point because I liked that side of the story especially.
Mm-hmm. I agree. What about you, Melissa? Are you going to read more?
I will. I have a couple of her books like on my shelves. Like I have a couple on audio, and then I know there's one that I've wanted to read for a long time called Brooklyn Air. Like everyone's talked about it. It's a hockey romance, and he's like the owner of the hockey team, I think. So like that's interesting, and like she was there. So I would be I would try other books. And I think she does write a lot like set in Maine. So I think that's probably where she's from. But she has a BA from Yale, so she's smart.
That's impressive.
Interesting.
According to her bio on the back of the book.
Huh.
So.
Love that.
Yeah, could not be me.
Thank you guys for joining me for this.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you guys kind of enjoyed it. Oh, she's from Vermont.
3.5 stars is a good rating. It's a good rating. I enjoyed my time. I just like also utilize 1 and 2 stars a lot, so it might seem harsher than what other people would think, but 3.5 is a very good rating.
Well, and this is more like, I mean, you read more thriller, horror, like spooky stuff. I mean, not that this was spooky, but like you read more than like, so like for me, like this was definitely out of my comfort zone while also still kind of being in my comfort zone. So for me, I enjoyed it because I wasn't like, it was different for me than it was going to be. But like I said, I thought you were going to come on here and be like, I gave this book 1 star. I absolutely hated it. It was terrible. So
Lexie does that a lot.
I have done that. I've given 1 and 2 stars to 2 different book clubs that I've co-hosted, and the author was there. It was so uncomfortable.
Terrible.
Like he commented after. Okay, so the author was there during the live, and the other one, the author watched it back and then messaged the person that was like hosting. Both of them were nice about it, but I'm just so uncomfortable still.
Yeah.
So yeah. If I hated, I still would have said it.
Yeah.
I will look at disclaimer at the beginning. Please, if you're the author, don't listen to this.
Yeah.
You don't want to proceed.
I'm always like respectful about it at least. So like I'm aware that I didn't say anything that was like rude, but it's still very uncomfortable.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, my first like book club book for this was actually like an interview with an author, like a romance author friend. And so I said, like, we're not talking ratings, like we're just here to hype up the book and hype up McKay. Like we're not talking about ratings because I don't want her to be uncomfortable. Then that was the whole was that like I knew I enjoyed the book and like the people that I had that read it enjoyed it. So that's why it was like we're like comments. We're not talking about ratings. Like we're just here to hype up McKay and like talk about how much we gush about the book basically. Like don't say you didn't like it because we don't want her to be uncomfortable. Like she's an indie small author writing 3 books. Like so
I also feel like even if you don't like you're not obsessed with the book, like you can still have a lot of good things to say about it. So I think that it makes sense to be like we're only discussing like positive things with the author.
Yeah, if you guys want sprints, Lexie will be sprinting all month long on her Patreon. So go join it. Is it all your tiers? That's the highest.
Yes, all of them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like part of the lower tier because I'm poor. So, but
that is so valid.
I know I was like, I know I have access to them, so I think it's all the tiers. But to sprint all weekend long, join Lexie's Patreon, and you can have fun sprints for her what used to be public all weekend.
It's a lot more low key this year. So
it's like it was a lot. Like it seemed like it was a lot of work when you did it. So I see why you would want to just take it over there. So make it a little bit easier on yourself and.
I wasn't doing anything except for being on Halloween weekend sprints in October. Like every Thursday night through Sunday night. So it was a lot.
Yeah. Well, when I asked you, I was like, I know you do. And you're like, I'm not doing Halloween weekend this year. Because I was like, we'll probably do the live show in October. But you're like,
I'm wearing the last year's merch for it.
That's cute.
Perfect timing.
Thank you guys. Thank you in the comments for joining.
This was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. Maybe next year find another spooky book to read with you guys.
I'll be here.
Yes. All right. Thank you. I'm ending the live stream. Why